Flooding in various parts of the city after heavy showers. U.S.-Vietnam relations elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un reportedly on his way to Russia for a summit with Vladimir Putin. Good evening and thank you for joining us. A trough of low pressure brought heavy showers to the city today. Cyclone recorded 100 millimeters of rainfall in an hour, and parts of Cheongkwon and Kuntong were flooded. Authorities received at least 8 reports of flooding in the areas. Sharon Tan has more.
These familiar sights appeared again this morning on To Hong Road in Cheongkwon. Minibuses and cars stalled out in floodwater. Pedestrians walking on curbs with the help of rescuers. On To Lok Road, a school bus broke down with at least 3 people stranded inside the vehicle. School janitors had to remove the debris after the water subsided. The observatory issued a special weather tip today, warning the public against thundery showers, especially in Sai Kung and Tai Po. In Ma Yau Tong village, water kept rushing in, causing flooding. This resident thinks it's worse than 2 days ago when the black rainstorm warning was in force. He says the water came up to his ankles. Isolated showers affected the eastern part of Hong Kong. Part of Kwun Tong Road was flooded and traffic lanes towards the direction of Yau Tong were closed to vehicles. The Hoi Yun Road roundabout, as well as a construction site on King Yip Street, were also flooded. Another hard-hit area was Sha Tin, which recorded over 80 millimeters of rainfall in 1 hour. Authorities say they have been actively carrying out inspection and desilting works.
The flooding today is mainly due to the rate of sands, leaves and debris from land area into our drainage system, which caused blockage. The flooding today should have nothing to do with the rainfall last week.
The observatory expects unsettled weather to persist this week, but the bigger threat is landslide. Authorities received more than 100 reports of landslides last Friday and Saturday. Geotechnical engineering expert Johnny Chuck said if the water is clear near the slopes, that means the drainage system is working. But if there is yellowish-brown water rushing out from slopes, then people need to beware of landslides, he said. He said authorities should watch out for new cracks on slopes or pipes. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
At least 10 schools around town had to suspend classes today after heavy rain damaged their facilities. Meanwhile, the Man Kam toll checkpoint remains closed after heavy flooding and its electricity supply being cut off. As a result, some 50 cross-border students had to wake up earlier than usual, with their school bus needing to detour and use other checkpoints. Still, Liantang Hernyun White Border was able to resume operations following repair work. A school that has 200 cross-border students said about a tenth of them were late to class owing to weather and traffic conditions. The school says it will exercise discretion for these students. Last week's historic storm triggered landslides but also revealed illegal building works in some of Hong Kong's luxury residential homes. The government said follow-up efforts would be made at the high-end residential estate in Tai Tam to find out if more unauthorized structures have been built. Here at Red Hill Peninsula, at least 2 houses were found to have unauthorized structures. The government said if any illegal structures came to light in any other premises, authorities would handle the cases on risk-based principles. Some sea-facing houses at Red Hill Peninsula are covered with safety netting. Some construction mesh extends all the way to the slope. Parts of some gardens perch near the hillside too. Structural engineer Ngai Hock Yan said almost all sea-facing houses shown on the drone shots have suspected structures constructed on government slopes, with some having built extra retaining walls. He said further assessment is needed from the Civil Engineering and Development Department to discern whether the dangerous hillside order should be issued to the homeowners to carry out remedial work. Among the 3 Red Hill Peninsula houses affected by the recent landslide, house number 72 was found to have an illegal basement measuring 1,500 square feet. To build the basement, parts of the retaining wall near the government slope have been removed as well. Also, a newly constructed illegal swimming pool.
亦都好靠咗泥土咧，係擲住嗰個即係護土牆咧，係成功。
Edward Chen Sai-chung, the Institution of Engineers' former division head, warned of the structural risks of such work. They said the removal of parts of the retaining wall could affect the wall's balance. When torrential downpours soak up the soil underneath, slope safety could be more easily compromised, with added vulnerability on the drainage systems. Unauthorized structures, too, found in house number 70 just next door, including a 320-square-foot basement. For house number 74 on the other side, the tenant has refused entry for government officers. Authorities are set to apply for a search warrant from the court. Meanwhile, another luxury house on Kamshu Road in Clearwater Bay, Sai-kung, was cordoned off owing to a landslide last Friday. At least 7 residents had to be evacuated. Some nearby residents said the house's balcony also collapsed during the mudslide. U.S. President Joe Biden is today wrapping up his visit to Vietnam after meeting the country's top leaders and forging new strategic trade and economic partnerships. Biden arrived in Vietnam from India, where he attended the weekend's Group of 20 summit. The U.S. leader insisted during his visit that enhanced ties with Vietnam was not aimed at containing China. Nasvi Karim with more.
From a bitter past to a better future. U.S. President Joe Biden hailed a new era of relations with Vietnam, with whom the United States fought a bitter war that ended 50 years ago. Let's keep it up, Biden said in a meeting with Vietnam leaders, referring to a historic ramping up of ties between the two former enemies. On Sunday, Nguyen Phu Trong, General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam, announced that its relationship with the U.S. had been elevated to comprehensive strategic partner, the country's highest diplomatic level, on par with that of China and Russia. The partnership opens up opportunities in climate, economy and other issues, while giving U.S. companies an alternative source of imports other than from Chinese factories. Biden was accompanied by top executives from major companies such as Google, Intel and Boeing, among others, all looking to partner Vietnamese firms in semiconductor, tech and aviation sectors with a focus on artificial intelligence.
Truly historic moment. Today, we can trace a 50-year arc of progress in the relationship between our nations, from conflict to normalization, to this new elevated status that will be a force for prosperity and security in one of the most consequential regions in the world. We are vaulting our partnership directly to a comprehensive strategic partnership with Vietnam's highest tier of partnership, and we're excited about that.
Hovering over Biden's visit, less than an hour's drive north of Hanoi, is China, which exported 4 times as many goods to the U.S. in 2022 as Vietnam's $127 billion. Biden, though, said his Vietnam trip was not about containing China.
We're not looking to hurt China, sincerely. We're all better off if China does well. China does well by the international rules, grows the economy. But they have had some real difficulty in terms of their economy of late, particularly in real estate.
Biden revealed that he met Premier Li Qiang at the weekend's Group of 20 summit in New Delhi, India. He said the meeting was not confrontational and the pair talked about stability. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Americans will mark the 22nd anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks when 4 passenger planes were hijacked, 2 of them crashing into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York. The skies where the Twin Towers formerly stood are once again being lit up with a tribute in light. The annual display sends up 2 powerful beams that can be seen from miles around from dusk to dawn, in memory of the lives lost in the terrorist attacks 22 years ago. The attacks claimed nearly 3,000 lives and reshaped American foreign and domestic policies. A 3rd plane slammed into the Pentagon while another crashed into rural Pennsylvania after a passenger revolt. U.S. President Joe Biden is due to take part in a ceremony at a military base in Anchorage, Alaska, after he returns from a trip to Vietnam. South Korean media outlets have reported that North Korean leader Kim Jongun has departed aboard a special train bound for Russia and a summit with President Vladimir Putin. Russia's Interfax news agency reported earlier on Monday that Kim was expected to visit Russia's Far East in the coming days. The Kremlin said on Saturday Putin would be in the far eastern city of Vladivostok to attend the Eastern Economic Forum, which opened on Sunday. North Korea is one of the few countries to have openly supported Russia since the invasion of Ukraine last year. Kim's last trip abroad in 2019 was also to Vladivostok for his first summit with Putin after the collapse of North Korea's nuclear disarmament talks with former U.S. President Donald Trump. U.S. and South Korean analysts believe the summit between Kim and Putin would likely focus on military cooperation and possibly a deal to supply arms. Thailand's new Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin made his first appearance before Parliament today as he laid out his government's plans to improve the economy. His agenda includes digital cash handouts, lowering energy prices, and relaxing visa rules to boost tourism. Srettha's government is facing high expectations to address a range of economic, political, social, and environmental problems. The results of May's elections reflected voters' strong mandate for change after nearly a decade of military-controlled rule. His Pheu Thai party was able to form a government after building a coalition with pro-military parties, something they vowed not to do during their campaign. The coalition is minus the Move Forward party that won most seats in May's polls. At the end of his speech, Srettha said his government's ultimate goal is to improve the quality of life for all citizens. Still ahead, search and rescue efforts continue in Morocco in the wake of a massive earthquake. A mainland woman slapped with a suspended jail sentence for abandoning her son in a Hong Kong hospital. And a Hong Kong man receives a life sentence on the mainland for working as an American spy. Welcome back. Survivors of Morocco's deadliest earthquake in more than 6 decades are struggling to find food, water, and shelter as a search for the missing continued in remote villages. The death toll from Friday's magnitude 6.8 quake now stands at over 2,100. The Red Cross Society of China will give the Moroccan Red Crescent $200,000 for emergency humanitarian assistance. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Flags were lowered across Morocco as King Mohammed VI ordered 3 days of national mourning starting from Sunday. Rescuers are racing against time to find survivors in the rubble more than 48 hours after Morocco's deadliest earthquake in over 6 decades devastated villages in the high Atlas Mountains. Many survivors spent a third night outside, their homes destroyed or rendered unsafe. People have been salvaging possessions from the ruins of their homes as they dug with their bare hands to find relatives. Survivors struggling to find shelter and supplies have voiced criticism of what they have described as an initially slow government response. Morocco's government has deployed the army as part of its efforts to help those affected. It said it is reinforcing search and rescue teams as well as providing drinking water and distributing food, tents and blankets. Amid offers from several countries, Moroccan officials said they're accepting international aid from just 4 nations: Spain, Britain, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. Meanwhile, the Red Cross Society of China will give the Moroccan Red Crescent $200,000 for emergency humanitarian assistance. President Xi Jinping has also extended condolences to Moroccan King Mohammed VI. The president said he was shocked to learn of the intense earthquake causing heavy casualties and property losses. Daniel Roll, TVB News.
In the U.S. state of Pennsylvania, police say a murderer who escaped from a prison more than a week ago has slipped out of the search area. The man has changed his appearance and is now being sought in a stolen vehicle. This report from NBC News.
Tonight, the Pennsylvania manhunt intensifying for escape killer Danilo Cavalcante. The desperate search, now nationwide, after he slipped past authorities once again, ditching this white van he stole last night.
How do you explain that?
No perimeter is 100% secure, ever. I applaud the men and women who were out there standing in some very difficult conditions and trying to secure that perimeter. I'm not going to make an excuse to you. I wish it had not happened.
Police worried about what Cavalcante, convicted this summer for the brutal murder of his ex-girlfriend, may do next.
We are obviously very concerned that Cavalcante has or will attempt to steal another vehicle to facilitate his escape.
Today, a major clue. Authorities releasing these new doorbell camera photos of Cavalcante taken at the home of a former co-worker where the fugitive may have been looking for help. Here's what he looked like before, and now. You can see he's drastically changed his appearance. Now clean-shaven, wearing a green or yellow hooded sweatshirt, hat, green pants, and white sneakers. This map showing Cavalcante's movements since his escape at the Chester County Prison just outside Philadelphia 11 days ago, to these sightings at the Botanical Gardens, all the way to his last known location where the van was recovered today.
This is a minor setback. We'll get him. It's a matter of time.
Over the course of the manhunt, some 400 officers from local, state, and federal agencies scoured an ever-changing perimeter around the garden's property.
There are a lot of issues associated with that property. You couple that with weather, aviation being down for a night. There are a number of reasons. Again, no excuses.
A magistrate today sentenced a mainland woman to 4 months in prison, suspended for 3 years, for abandoning her son at Kwangwa Hospital in July. The 12-year-old boy is now being taken care of by his grandmother in Jiangxi province on the mainland. The court heard that the 37-year-old mother is a single parent. She originally planned to move from Jiangxi to Shenzhen to enable her son to attend school in Hong Kong, but the plan fell through. She later met a Hong Kong man named Stephen, who suggested that she stage the abandonment of her son. Stephen proposed to take the boy to a hospital and the child will report that his mother is missing. She was told that the boy would then be taken care of by charity organization Paul & Cook and would receive an education in Hong Kong. The defendant paid Stephen 17,000 yuan as a reward. At Kowloon City Magistrate's Court, the mother pleaded guilty to one charge of cruelty to a child and said she had trusted the wrong person. Magistrate Don So said it's a parent's duty to take care of their children and it's wrong for them to pass on the responsibility to the government. Still, he said immediate imprisonment would seriously affect the defendant's ability to take care of their children. The defendant was slapped with a 4-month jail term, suspended for 3 years. Hong Konger John Leung was jailed for life on the mainland for espionage in May earlier this year. Chinese authorities have revealed the U.S. government has given him an award for his 30 years of work as an American spy. China's Ministry of State Security wrote on Weibo that the 78-year-old opened a restaurant in the U.S. in 1983. He was recruited as a spy by Washington in 1989 with $1,000 a month as a reward. Leung also gained his U.S. citizenship that same year. The ministry said U.S. officials constructed a fake backstory for him, making him out to be a patriot and a philanthropist. Through meal gatherings, Leung approached Chinese liaison officers in the U.S. to gather intelligence and even set up honey traps to blackmail them. He was deployed to the mainland during the pandemic in 2020 before eventually being arrested. The Hong Kong International Aviation Academy has launched its first cadet pilot training program. Graduates would have the opportunity to work for 3 local partner airlines. Upon completion of courses on theoretical knowledge, the Academy will arrange preliminary job interviews for students with Hong Kong Airlines, Hong Kong Express, and Greater Bay Airlines. Candidates hoping to join the 14-month training program should be 18 years old or above and have graduated from a secondary school with good academic results in English language and mathematics. The program fee is $800,000, payable in 3 installments. The Academy hopes the scheme could train some 100 pilots a year to meet industry demand. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.